welcome everyone to Finance with JCL. Thank you very much for joining me. Today's topic is pensions, and here on the channel we tend to look at investing but also a bit of personal finance as well, and this links into both of those subjects perfectly. So imagine a world where perhaps your pension is looking a little bit sick. Maybe you're unsure about where to start with pensions or SIPPs. You've now got the opportunity to take full control as I share what a SIPP is and the advantages and disadvantages. Before we go into detail, I must just give a brief warning. First of all, I'm not a financial advisor, so pensions is a regulated topic, so I won't be giving you investment advice here. And of course, your capital is at risk, and very importantly, with pensions, they're subject to a lot of government regulation, and those rules can change at any time. So what I'm discussing today is relevant as of, I believe, the 4th of July. If you're watching this in several months' time, always do check the prevailing regulations on the UK government website. So we now start with, what are the benefits of a SIPP, which is a self-invested personal pension. With the self-invested personal pension, the first key factor is the fact that you are going to be in full control of your retirement savings. So the SIPP is almost like a retirement bank account, as it were, albeit with restrictions on the outgoings and conditions on the incomings, but you're in full control of the investment decisions that sit behind that. So in company schemes, quite often your choices are limited. With a SIPP, your choices are much wider, and you decide when things happen, and you have that accountability to yourself. And another great thing about SIPP is there are multiple contribution methods. I mean, you could have a regular direct debit going into your account. You could contribute a one-off lump sum. Even your employer could potentially contribute. And in fact, you can transfer from existing pensions as well. So plenty of ways to actually get money into your retirement pot. And the great thing about the pots is you can actually start withdrawing from age 55. I've got the plus there because actually that age is increasing, so I think 57 in 2028, and certainly I expect it to become that amount you do withdraw that initial tranche. 25% of it is tax free. So if you've built up a pension pot of £1 million, you could actually get £250,000 tax free at that age, which is absolutely fantastic. And there is a consolidation element, so one of the ways you can contribute is by transferring from existing pensions, and from a personal perspective that's something I'm going to be doing. So I've got a very small SIPP at the moment. My employer has changed from a defined benefit final salary pension scheme, which is where you know the outcome, to a defined contribution scheme, which is whereby the outcome is uncertain and it depends on your investment returns and the amount of money you put in. Because of the limited choices in the scheme, I'm actually going to be transferring into a SIPP. Now, if you've been someone that moves around different employers a lot, I know some people have got 7 or 8 very, very small pension pots with different employers, then the advantage of a SIPP is you can transfer and consolidate them all into one place for much more easier and efficient management. And there are lots of investment options with the SIPP, so you could obviously have just cash, you could invest in mutual funds, shares, bond funds, and so on. And most amazingly is the incentives the UK government gives you to invest your pension. You get the tax relief. And the best way to think of this is, let's say you wanted to invest or have a benefit to your pension pot of £100. You get a benefit of £100 if you're a basic rate taxpayer, which means you pay income tax at the 20% level. You take 20% off that 100, so you actually have to put in £80 to get £100 of benefit, because 20% or £20 would be given by the government in tax relief. And if you are a higher additional rate taxpayer, so 40 or 45%, then that becomes £60 or even £55 with the income tax rates correct in England, that is, at the time of recording. You basically get free money from the government for investing in this. It's a very efficient scheme, and in fact it's even more efficient because all the growth within your SIPP or pension pot is free from tax, whether that be in terms of the growth, the income tax, capital gains tax, and also For inheritance tax purposes, a SIPP sits outside of your estate, so it's not subject to inheritance tax, although it also is also not subject to your will, so you have to make additional provisions with your provider as to who you want the beneficiaries to be. Now we need to look at the drawbacks as well. You might think I made a mistake here, but full control is the first one again, because being in full control is also a drawback, particularly if you're at a younger age, because you don't have to manage, potentially actively if you choose that active method, buying stocks and shares, or maybe passively if you're investing in indexes, for example. You have to manage your pot until you retire, or until you use that pot. So you can be managing this pot for 30, 40 years. It will take time to do it properly. And if you make mistakes, you will suffer the consequence of those mistakes. So being in full control is both a benefit and a drawback. So you need to be very careful your capital's at risk. And the benefit is not defined. So I mentioned with my employer's pension scheme changing, you don't know what you're going to get. You can only assume certain returns in your modelling, compounding. You don't know at the end of the day what you're going to get out of the pension, because it's defined contribution. And as mentioned, the capital therefore is at risk due to things that happen in the market, want those protections. And you do actually get taxed on exit. So we mentioned that 25% free or tax-free amount. If you then have, so if you have more than that coming out, you will get taxed on it at the prevailing income tax rates. And of course, we don't know what those are going to be in 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years time when you start taking the money out. Of course, there are provider fees. So if you've got a scheme with your employer, you may not see those fees. They may be very, very low because your employer can negotiate on bulk with providers. You may have fees. So for example, Barclays Lansdowne, you have an account fee where you pay a percentage of the value of your account to them, which I believe is capped. And they also have fees for trading shares, although the fund's free. Free trade is slightly different. And in that case, the fee is a monthly fee you pay them in order to hold the account, and it's a fixed value. We'll touch on both of those a bit later on. And in order to get those higher tax reliefs I mentioned, the 20% is automatically applied. So for a £100 benefit to account, you'll always get 20% applied, but you have to manually claim through your annual tax returns the 40 or 45% reliefs. So it does entail extra work in order to get the full benefit of the inverted commas free government money. You know, this is too good to be true to an extent, so they have brought in the last several years annual allowance, which I believe is around about 40,000, but always do check that. You can't put too much into your account, it's capped. And also there's also a lifetime limit. So again, the amount you can have in that pot is capped. I'm not going to go into too much detail on those because they can be complex calculations and complex subjects. Getting anywhere near those limits, you should absolutely consult a pension specialist or financial advisor who can give you very detailed information, because it isn't always as easy to calculate as you think. And there are kind of carry forward allowances, and it does get quite complex. The tax rules can and will change. So 20 years ago you didn't have, or 10 years ago you didn't have these annual allowances, lifetime limits. They're now here. You go back several years, 15 years, there wasn't a 45% tax rate, it was only a 40%. And in fact, I think it was 50% as well, that's the very, very top rate at one point. Tax rules change. You can plan for your 25% lump sum, that might be gone in the future. So you need to be very conscious of that and be very conservative in your planning. The key question, it's an account you control, so how do you actually get and manage a SIPP? Exhibit A, Hargreaves Lansdowne. Start your self-invested personal pension. Good provider, excellent choice of funds, and the discounts of the fund charges they negotiated good. So if you're looking to have perhaps more of a passive investment approach, where others manage your money, whether it's index trackers or actually managed funds, Hargreaves Lansdowne in the UK is a very good option for that. Exhibit B is free trade, and that's probably better if you are looking to perhaps buy more individual stocks and shares and ETFs, as you won't have those transaction charges there. So I'll drop some links into the description below. The free trade one is a referral link, so I do benefit from that in the event that you sign up. Okay, please do comment below if you've got any questions, you found that interesting, and let me know if you've actually used HL or free trade. Thanks for joining me. If you want to look at the channel and see where I'm buying or selling shares, access to our discounted cash flow template, support the channel, please do consider the Patreon site. I will leave a box on the screen for a playlist, which is kind of financial introduction, personal finance, things like budgeting, SIPP, as we've seen, and information on mortgages and credit cards. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.